Hello, hello, and welcome to episode 8 of Baki Talki. This one's a fun one, lots of stuff going on here. The episode is called A Match vs. a Real Fight, which is basically the thesis of this season. So I'm very excited to jump into the action, but before I can, I need to introduce my co-host for the episode, Vishal.
Hi, my name is Vishal. I'll be featured on this episode today. Excited to be here. Very excited.
Wow, that was so formal. That's great. So, Vishal, before we jump into Baki, I always like to ask 2 questions just so the audience can get to know you a bit. So first off, other than Baki, what shows are you currently watching?
What am I currently watching? I just finished watching Stranger Things, which was really good. IMO. I normally watch a lot of anime, but I've been busy recently, so I haven't really watched too much. But
do you consider Stranger Things an anime?
No, no, not at all, not in the slightest. I mean, it's got some nerdy aspects, that's for sure. Yeah. Which makes it a lot of fun for us nerdy boys.
Would you consider yourself a nerdy boy?
I really set myself up for disaster here.
Well, now that the audience knows you.
Oh, God.
The second question, before watching this episode, what did you know about Baki?
So, as I said, I am a nerdy boy. And I've indulged in anime, and I've heard of Baki, mostly actually through you.
Yeah.
And I was planning on watching it. But I did know that it was an over-the-top, absurd shonen anime. A lot of combat and a lot of just absurdity. Kind of like, I've heard it like compared to like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which I also haven't watched. So I went into this not having any experience with this type of theme. So it was fun.
Yeah. No, I've heard the JoJo's comparison before, and I've only watched a season of Stone Ocean because that was on Netflix. I'd say the difference, they're both absurd, but I feel like JoJo spends a lot more time getting you to like the characters and like show motivations and that type of stuff.
A lot of shows do that, I would say.
Not this
Baki
one.
Not one of those shows? Okay. Oh, anyway. Boy.
So let's jump into the episode. So last episode, you didn't watch this, Vishal, but Baki and Goki Shibukawa were defeated by Ryuko Yanagi, who doesn't show up in this episode, which was disappointing. Also, a few episodes back, Doppo Arachi got his hand cut off by Dorian. So there's been a few losses. And so the episode starts, Tokugawa's brought together our 5 fighters. They're all just chilling on the floor of his house, because I guess he doesn't have any couches. And he's sort of, I don't know, haranguing them over their performance. Do you want to describe this scene a bit, Vishal?
Yeah, sure. So it starts off with, and again, I haven't watched any of the previous episodes. It starts off with the old man lecturing all the 4 fighters. One of them I only know is Baki. I don't know who anyone else is, but they're being lectured about losing a fight, and he's really disappointed in them. And apparently the fight was 2v1. Yeah, I believe.
Yeah, Baki and Goki lost against another guy.
And apparently they're supposed to be, what was it, like the best in the underground arena?
Yeah.
Not to put too fine a point on it, but you were utterly and humiliatingly outfought. You were even 2 against 1.
Which basically translates to the best in the world.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So Baki's supposed to be the best in the world, and he lost 2v1 to, who is this? I don't know if we're getting ahead here, but it was the fighter in the episode that they lost to?
No, they lost to Ryuko Yanagi, also known as Yanagi the Poisoner, who can poison you with oxygen. But I don't think we have time to get down that rabbit hole.
Well, that's an unfair fight. Well, I don't, out of context, I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's an interesting start to the episode because, first of all, the voice choice for Tokugawa, like in the dub, I'm pretty sure he has like a Texas accent. Like it's a weird voice he has.
I guess you're no better than those pampered powder puffs training upstairs. Okay, but seriously now.
And he starts off very like upset with them and just sort of like saying like, you know, you guys, I thought you were cool, but I guess you're not. And then he starts like crying because you realize that this really meant a lot to him, and the fact that his idols basically have lost has sort of shaken him a bit.
I'm more upset about this than any of you. Don't you understand that? I'm sad. Sadder than the whole bunch you put together. There was no one more convinced than I was that the 5 of you were the strongest of all.
So, what was the name? Tokugawa?
Tokugawa, yeah.
Tokugawa. So he didn't train them?
No.
Oh,
Tokugawa's like a rich guy who owns an underground fighting pit.
Oh, I see. Wait, so is like all these fighters just under his like sleeve? Like, does he like control it?
No, he just sort of invited them. Like, they don't work for him. I don't even know why they came to his house.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's
when I say that Baki doesn't really go into motivations. Like, I couldn't tell you why half of these people signed up for this fight, other than they like to fight.
I knew there was like no rhyme or reason to anything, but this is literally nothing makes sense.
Yeah,
it just kind of happens. Is that how it goes? It just happens,
more or less. But the fun thing about it is though, Baki is sort of like he makes the most sense because he has no reason to be there, and so after like a few minutes, he just goes, "All right, I'm gonna leave," because why did he come here in the first place? And
okay, so when I was watching, that made no sense to me, but knowing that context, that makes a lot of sense.
Here's the fun thing about Baki. Like, Baki doesn't even like from what I can tell, like, he doesn't want to fight a bunch of people. Like, he wants to be stronger than his dad, and that's like his main motivation. And so like this type of fight just doesn't interest him at all. And I assume somebody drove him there because like.
So is it fair to say that the show is just all about daddy issues?
It would be if Yujiro showed up more often, but
that's his dad, Yujiro.
Yeah. If you watch the end credits, he's the guy at the end of it.
Okay, I did. Okay, yeah.
He's the world's strongest creature. Anyway, so Baki goes to leave, and right at the door, that's funny. Right at the door is Dorian. Who we haven't seen in a few episodes.
Evening, gentlemen. Am I interrupting?
Can you describe Dorian for me, Vishal?
I don't know who he is or what his thing is, but this episode did not paint a great picture for Dorian. He came in menacingly as, you know, Baki opened the door to exit, and with that bucket of gasoline, which, all right.
Look, I brought gasoline.
And came in
it's
and
his thing.
Oh, that's like a running joke for him.
He used to have a flask that he would drink and then spit it out because it was gasoline and light you on fire. This time he upped the ante by bringing a bucket with him.
Oh, I see. So it's escalating. He's okay. Gotcha. So he brought in this bucket of gasoline, and another guy shows up. Don't know his name. Don't remember.
Well, let's not jump. Oh, sorry. Yes, that guy. That's Katsumi Arachi, Dopo's son.
Oh, okay. And then, long story short, Dorian / he looks like Santa Claus. I like literally just looks like Santa Claus, but like way too muscular. Gets the bloobs beat out of him multiple times in this episode. Oh my god! Am I supposed to respect this character? I don't know.
Yes, he is very scary. But yes, you would have no idea from this episode. He does have one line at the end where he says like, "If you wanted to judge me on the skill level you saw earlier, you'd be mistaken."
If you came here expecting the same skill level you saw at Tokugawa's home, I can only say I feel sorry for you.
And I rewatched the episode to try and understand why that's true, and I didn't really catch why, but apparently he wasn't really trying.
Yeah, I mean we'll get to that when we get through the episode, but yeah, he had a redemption arc in this one episode. Say that.
So let's start it off early. So he walks in with his bucket of gasoline. Everyone's sort of surprised. But then, right behind him, Katsumi Orochi comes in, who, if you notice Vishal, he was a bit battered, like he had a neck wound. That was from Dorian. They had met before.
Oh, okay.
And so Katsumi sort of punches him in the hand, steals his lighter, knocks all of the gasoline onto Dorian, and then lights him on fire. Now, this fire goes on for quite a while.
Right, old man? We'll agree to disagree, I guess.
Now, I'm not a doctor, but so I should get a second opinion. Vishal, do you think that the amount of damage that Dorian took from being on fire for like 20 seconds was more or less than you expected?
He had like what's the worst degree of burn again? Like first degree burns. Well, either way, he had little to no damage. He had some marks on him, but he was standing. At one point, he was just standing there listening to everybody with just like, I don't know. He was just like a frame of just Santa Claus standing there, and I was like, "Are you not like hurt?" Or also,
I take more damage than him when I go out in the sun.
Yeah, exactly. Instant sunburn. Also the fire. So wooden Japanese like home. There was no like fire. Like the wood was not affected by this gasoline fire in the slightest. I don't know if you noticed that.
That's a great point. Yeah, it didn't.
Yeah.
And like it's one of those things that like depending on how they like if the fire was like a quick flash of flames, this might have made sense, but like he was burning up for
yeah he was on the ground like suffering in pain, and then he wasn't. yeah
he gets up and just blows out a ring of smoke. What I think he said,
whoa, guess I better lay off the cigars for a while.
Yeah, I mean, that was a entertaining line, I guess. I enjoyed when he said that. I was like, you know what? Props to you, friend.
Dorian's my second favorite of the. Oh, I guess just for context, there's a little bit of motivation here. The 5 fighters that Tokugawa assembled, their job is to fight 5 death row inmates that flew to Tokyo to fight them. Dorian is one of a group of death row inmates who came to Tokyo to seek defeat.
Sorry, he came to Tokyo to seek defeat? Like he wants to be defeated?
Yeah, we could go into it and it still wouldn't make much more sense. They all flew to Tokyo because they wanted to be defeated. There's some stuff about dynamite, but that's the core part you gotta understand.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. I agree with you though. I kind of like Dorian after this episode too. I don't know. He was kind of the main characters of this episode actually.
Yeah. No, I agree. We're entering into the Dorian phase. Like I think the next 2 or 3 episodes are all about Dorian, and it's a fun little arc. Especially we haven't even seen his like. I can't spoil for the next episode, but his silliest fighting style is yet to come. So Dorian wakes up from being on fire. Oh no! Before we get into that, I wanted to talk about karate and the different philosophies of it. So we see two different ideals on karate. We've got Katsumi and Dopo Arachi.
The end goal of martial arts isn't to get the most points for style. The objective's to win, not win pretty. Unless you beat your opponent, the rest of it really doesn't matter much, does it?
Come on already. You still think I'm missing something, don't you?
That's right. Aesthetics.
Who did you think had a better understanding of karate?
I mean, I want to give it to Dobo Arachi. He's the older guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's got the aesthetic, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a man of finesse. I like finesse, Steve. And what? Oh my God. Okay, when he said aesthetic, this happens a lot. It's going a little off topic, but this happens a lot where somebody will say something. One of them was the word aesthetic, and it just a one-shot pan of like everybody in the room reacting, and I'm just like, why do we need this dramatic pause for everyone to react to the word aesthetic? You know what I mean?
It's because it fills up time.
That's right. Aesthetics.
Aesthetics?
Yeah. They don't have the budget to.
Yeah. Well, that's Dopo's karate style. Like it's like if he fights somebody, you can put that right on Instagram. Like he's got an aesthetic. So just to summarize, the crux of the argument here is, what is karate? Is it the spirit of winning at all cost, or is it the spirit of using your body as the ultimate weapon, and your body plus your shoes and maybe your belt and your briefcase if you're carrying that with you?
He's not gonna bring any outside weapons to a fight. A briefcase he happens to be carrying, a fan he's got folded up in his pocket, maybe even the belt he's wearing, or the shoes he's got on. Yeah, even with our opponent's weapon if he brought one. Those are about the only things we're allowed to use in a fight. And still keep our self-respect as martial artists.
Not fishing wires, unfortunately.
Yeah. He made the argument that he was just carrying it around, so he's allowed to use it in the fight. No? Is that what he said?
Yeah, he said, I was going fishing later. Well, we haven't even introduced
he
this
likes
guy.
fishing.
So,
What?
the third person the next person who joins this fight after Katsumi is the very similarly named Kiyosumi.
Yeah, I noticed that, and it really confused me.
I literally have a tab open just so I can remember his name.
Kiyosumi Kato, a die-hard fighter and Shinshinkai karate student who prefers to get his training in actual combat rather than in the safety of a dojo.
And I worry that I've forgotten the first guy's name now. But Kiyosumi comes in. I looked this up. I found out that he's actually a character who's been in the show before. I never knew that because I've never watched the original Baki. He's very, very on brand for this arc. His whole fighting styles that he believes that you fight better outside of the ring. And he is now Katsumi's new master. So Katsumi has decided to study under this dude instead of his dad. And his first move is punching Dorian a bunch and then slicing his ear off in one fell swoop. And then Dorian looks at his ear. Yeah, I can see why you weren't impressed with Dorian in this episode.
No contrition, I see. Well, if you're not gonna listen, you won't be needing those ears!
Yeah, he got the shit kicked out of him for sure. I honestly thought like this guy was maybe the joke of the show, but
now here's the question: were you more impressed when he did his final move, which was vomiting up a hand grenade?
That caught me more off guard than the fishing line. I won't lie to you. If he just has a belly full of grenades, that's that's a handy secret weapon, I will say.
I was surprised the grenade didn't explode when he was lit on fire.
You know what? I didn't even consider that because so many things happen so fast in the show. I didn't even think about that. I know you. Is that how grenades work? Do you not? I know there's. It's obviously like gas or it's gas, right?
Yeah, it's just gas.
Yeah.
No,
I don't know how much the shell. Okay.
Don't worry.
Well, I don't know.
This is a job for editor Steve to figure out how grenades work. All right.
Put that little insert in there.
The best part about this show is I learn something new every week. So when you pull the pin and release the trigger, it releases a mechanism which lights a spark, and that spark just ignites explosives. It's a pretty traditional bomb.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, but yeah, I would assume that the grenade, or how many grenades in there, you could have like 10 in there. Who knows?
You think he could fit 10 grenades? Those were not like tiny grenades he had in his stuff. I was surprised he was able to get that grenade out of his mouth.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. He must have a wide ass
throat.
What's it called again? Throat. Yeah.
What's it called again? Throat.
No, I was esophagus. That's what I was trying to say. Yeah, to regurgitate like one of those big grenades.
Yeah. But do you think that's a martial art that he learned, like how to like force objects upwards through your esophagus?
I feel like when you're Dorian and you're like, down in the dumps, you get creative.
It's fair. So Dorian opens a hand grenade in a pretty small room with 8 people in it. Listeners at home, try and guess what happens. 3, 2, 1. Vishal, what is the after effect of a grenade going off in a room with like 8 people?
So the after effect is it explodes and we cut to a new scene. And we learned that everyone escaped except Tokugawa, the old dude who's being interrogated by the police. How everyone escaped, I have no idea. I don't know what happened. I don't know if they got damaged or what, but
nope, nobody got hurt. Everybody just sort of jumped away, I guess.
They use that as a smokescreen, I guess. I guess grenades are just not powerful enough to penetrate these muscular beings, and they could just use it as a smokescreen to run away.
Yeah, honestly, like it's like it's like a flashbang. Except with the force of a grenade.
But that was quite entertaining.
Oh,
I won't lie.
Yeah. There was one more part of the story I wanted to get your thoughts on. I forgot about this. When Dorian takes out his like dental floss and ties up 2 people with it. Can you walk us through what happened there?
It just happened. He just pulls out dental floss and he sneaks up behind what was it, 2 of the guys?
Yeah, Katsumi and Kiyosumi.
Yeah, and just kind of like the fishing line, just like in one fell swoop, just ties them up.
What the hell kind of wire is that?
That's really it. And where would I feel like Dorian is full of very secret moves. And I feel like dental floss is also really easy to break out of, no?
This is actually a hard carbon fiber. So the reason they don't explain it too much is because this is the second time it's shown up. If you're wondering why Dopa was wearing a cast, it's because the last time he used that dental floss, it cut off his hand.
Oh my God. I mean, a fishing line could do that. I'm sure dental floss could do the same, right?
Yep, it's really underrated in the Baki universe. Just any type of string you can find.
Yeah, I mean, fast enough and with enough slack, we've learned that you can cut off any body part.
Any body part. Yeah, you can cut off a hand. You can cut off an ear. Who knows what'll be cut off next? Honestly. So a grenade explosion goes off. Tokugawa was saved because some unnamed person threw him out of the room. I honestly think it's unnamed because nobody had the motivation to do it. Like, nobody cares about Tokugawa.
Oh, okay.
I was thrown clear of the blast by somebody. He pulled that pin, and the next thing I knew, I was lying outside in the middle of the courtyard.
So wait, do people not like respect Tokugawa that much?
It's like a respect, but it's not like a reverence or anything. Like, it's more just like,
gotcha.
Like he owns an arena that they like to fight in. I'd say that's it.
Yeah, but anyone can own this arena.
Well, maybe. He is an 11th generation businessman. It's probably a pretty nice arena.
11th generation? Is that like a frequent? Why do you say 11th generation?
That's what he is. That's how they introduced him.
Mitsunari Tokugawa, the 11th generation head of the Tokugawa business empire, rules over the underground fight arena.
Oh, okay. Okay. Is this supposed to hold weight?
I don't know. Are you an 11th generation businessman?
No, I guess not. Yeah, I guess not.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. I'm not a second generation anything, so.
Once you have 10 generations of kids doing your job, then you can talk to Mr. Tokugawa.
God damn.
Yeah, that's what I thought. All right.
Looks like I'm starting now.
So moving on. This is a fun little part of the episode because the last episode, I felt like we just spent the entire time behind Baki's school. This time we have 2 little scenes. The first one, of course, is Dorian comes to Tokugawa's house and tries to light everyone on fire. But afterwards, we see Dorian sneaking through Tokyo on his way to his secret lair. he ends up walking into a man peeing in an alleyway. So for everybody who's keeping track of the stream of urine count, we're at number 3. This is only episode 8. I can't wait to see how high we can get.
Number 3, folks.
What did you think of Dorian's secret hideaway and how he got into it also?
Okay, yeah, that was amazing. I saw that and I'm like, something dramatic's about to happen. He's about to, I don't know what he's going to do, but something's like, shit's about to go down. It's about to get real. And 5 seconds pass and he just gets to the bottom of the sewer. Way over the top, way too dramatic. In the eyes of like the animators, this is such like a waste of like budget, you know what I mean? Like but I loved it. It was great.
Yeah, just to set the scene, this is just the audio for how long Dorian is sliding down a subterranean sewer tunnel.
Didn't need to be there at all, but it was great.
And like, I don't understand. Like, there's a few questions. Like, is this bunker like 400 feet underground, or was he...
Right?
And
that
also, do maintenance? Do construction workers in Japan have to slide down with their hands on the walls, or is there a ladder that he just didn't use?
I didn't see any ladder, so or maybe Dorian strategically chose this spot because there was no ladder there. So if you wanted to get down, you'd have to do a dramatic drop for about 5 seconds.
He's the only person who can make it down there. Well, except for the next guy who comes down like 2 minutes later.
Yeah. Also, can I say the show is just literally just like a Smash Bros. Reveal trailer? It's literally just like one person appears. It's like, new fighter approaches.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's. I think that's fair. It's the series of Smash Bros. Trailers turned into a show.
Yeah. At least for me, because like I don't know if it's just this episode like especially, but like every like 10, like not even 10, like probably 5-6 minutes, just like a new person that walks into the door.
Yeah, I think that's pretty standard. So Dorian, like all of our prisoners, flew to Tokyo, and we've had no idea where he's been living so far. I think the only one we knew was Speck, who was living in jail. Dorian is apparently living in a World War II bunker that apparently he used to serve in 50 years ago. The timeline did not make any sense. But also the thing is, like, this manga was written in the 90s. So, like, is the story taking place in the 90s? Are they just...
Do you know if, like, in the manga maybe they say 30 years ago, and, like, in the anime they say 40 only because...
I'll have to check it out, because there's no way he's like 97, because we just finished with a 97-year-old man fighting everybody. So there's no way they're doing this twice.
Yeah.
So reading the manga, it is 50 years in the past. However, one thing they don't bring up in the show is that apparently Dorian was 10 years old, and it implies his dad showed him the secret bunker. I don't know. The manga doesn't really answer questions. It just makes new ones.
I mean, it is Baki. Anything could happen, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it did happen. It's like lightning. It can strike anywhere, but it's not going to strike the same place twice.
Yeah, right.
So apparently Dorian was stationed here years ago in the U.S. military, and respect the troops. And he came back here to make it his secret hideaway. I felt sort of bad for him. He was putting like antiseptic on his wounded ear, or grease. I couldn't really tell.
I did feel bad, yeah.
Like, that ear ain't growing back.
No, I guess he didn't pick it up on the way out, but I guess he couldn't.
Probably exploded.
It probably exploded, yeah. Yeah, I guess he didn't really get a chance. Can't stitch it back together.
No. So, he only is able to sit down for about a minute before he can hear, before he hears out of one ear. Some little pitter patter. And Kiyosumi has tracked him down to his secret lair. Vishal, what happens in this little encounter we get?
So, our boy Santa Claus makes it back to his secret underground lair in the sewers that he, as you said, he used during the war. And another guy shows up. Is it the same guy from the house? No,
it is. It's the guy who showed up and cut his ear off.
He followed him all the way here just to lay down some more smack. But Dorian pulls out his, after a quick history lesson about Al Capone in the 1920s, we learned that there's this secret way of how these people used to fight, the gangsters back in the day, with grease.
This simple but brutally effective technique goes back to the 1920s and the earliest days of Prohibition, when the notorious Al Capone was still just a minor hoodlum.
Which, I'm not familiar about of the 1920s, but Steve, do they, is that, I don't think they fight with grease and glass knuckles.
You know what? I believe it. I don't understand it, but I believe it.
Editor, give us a fact check on that one.
Do you want to come over sometime and we can like test this out? Like, you bring the grease, I'll keep some empties around.
Also, this is absolutely ridiculous because I mean, I haven't seen the next episode. I don't know how this plays out, but if Dorian punches somebody with glass knuckles, I feel like there's going to be a lot of recoil.
Well, that's what I don't understand. The grease is not going to protect you, I don't think. So, just for listeners, what Dorian does is he smashes all of his bottles on the ground, dips his hand in grease, which is apparently like the only thing that he brought with him to his secret lair, and then rolls his greasy hands around in the broken glass. So he now has two fists covered in broken glass. And I agree, Vishal. I think if you punched somebody, your hand would be shredded to pieces.
It definitely. I feel like I don't know. I think the grease is not there for protection. Honestly, I think it's more just an adhesive for the glass. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just a way to. You could just hold glass in your fist. You know, like maybe that won't cut you. I don't know. I'm not a mobster. Also, this wasn't just Al Capone's era. This was an era when Al Capone was just a kid. So.
Oh, hey, does Al Capone show up in this show?
Oh man, I wish.
Or is that spoilers?
No, okay. The ghost of Al Capone does not show up in this show.
Oh yeah, I forgot the show takes place later. Right. Yeah. Anyways,
we get a few historical figures like George Bush, Che Guevara. I already mentioned Muhammad Ali is going to show up, but no Al Capone, unfortunately.
You know who I haven't seen a lot of in this show?
Who?
In this episode, Baki. I was thinking that because I feel like obviously something like a bit of a plot, maybe like a climax just happened with him, but like he had like 2 lines in this episode, and I didn't really get the full Baki character experience.
I think that this is the funniest. I think the funniest thing is that this series is called Baki. Like, there's Baki the Grappler, Baki Hama, or whatever. This one's just called Baki, so you'd think the focus would be on him. And for the first 26 episodes, it's really not. Like, he barely fights anybody. He like in this episode, like, he just walked away because he doesn't. Yeah, no, Baki doesn't show up a lot, and you're not the first person to make this comment.
Okay. Okay, I was thinking like maybe that was just like a one-off for this episode, but I see. From what you're telling me, it's not.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, but I enjoy Dorian a lot, so it's cool.
Yeah, no, I love Dorian. I think Spec and Dorian are my 2 faves, and they're the first 2, and then we'll have to deal with Doyle, Yanagi, and Sikorsky later.
I can't wait to see where the rest of the characters in the house went after the explosion.
I think they just went home. They probably had something like they probably just wanted to watch some TV.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah. I mean,
No, they were probably like, okay, well, I guess real combat is whenever it starts, and then just wandered off. Anyway, so yeah, the episode ends with Dorian just greasing up his fists and saying like, "Come at me, bro," and that's how it goes. So
yeah.
So a few questions for you, Vishal. This is a little fun
Yeah.
thing I do. I like to have everybody define a character, and I'm trying to get every character defined. So I think this is the best episode for Dorian. So if you had to define Dorian in a sentence or two, how would you describe him?
I mean, I feel like this episode wasn't the best portrayal of Dorian, but also, maybe it was actually, because I got to see both sides of Dorian. I got to see a lot of them. So I would say, he is, first of all, he looks like Santa Claus. And, I think you're talking about how what did you say? He was getting stronger or something during the end of the episode? And
Yeah,
he didn't know why.
he was implying that he was like not trying his hardest earlier.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I think, was he not drinking at the end of the episode?
He took a sip or two from that beer before he threw all of his bottles on the ground.
Oh, okay. Because I was thinking maybe he was like, maybe alcohol is a secret weapon. So
approach.
Yeah, I would say he's an old retired military guy who probably is trying to prove himself with his fighting techniques and whatnot, showing that he's supposed to be respected. But yeah, I don't know.
Level-headed definition of a guy who fucking barfed up a grenade.
Yeah, you know what? But like, the absurdity of the show is kind of like, in my head, is kind of normalized for just like everything else that happens. So it's like a grenade it doesn't seem weird given the context of the show. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it fits.
But it is weird. It's totally absurd and just like out of left field.
Yeah, like if you're watching like, I don't know, Brooklyn Nine-Nine and Andy Samberg barfed up a grenade to solve a problem, you'd be like, that's pretty weird.
But also, I'm very desensitized to like the tropes of anime. So like, I'm kind of like in the middle of like Western media and like anime, right? So
well, that's the thing. If it happened on like an episode of Stranger Things, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense, because that's my favorite.
I mean, that's anime.
Yeah.
Is that were you making a joke?
Yeah, I was.
Okay. Okay.
Man, I should maybe I should make this a Stranger Things podcast. That would be probably a bigger market.
You can just do both.
I get every guest to watch half an episode of Baki and then half an episode of Stranger Things.
Well, not on the same podcast. You just two separate podcasts.
Yeah. Okay.
You know,
this takes time, man. All right. Last question for you. Now that you've watched an episode of Baki, do you think that it's a good show?
I think Baki is its own thing. I think Baki is its own experience, and if you're into absurd, like over the top shonen combat, and you just want to see muscular guys messing around and see what the next shocking moment will be, I think it's totally for you. I think it's totally a show that someone would like if they enjoyed all those different tropes. There's not many shows like it, so I think personally I would definitely watch Baki.
All right,
because it's something like totally like different that I have not seen before.
What a bounce back! Last week I got a one-word no, so
what?
I'm glad to see another mostly positive review.
I'm just helping to keep the balance. That's why I'm here.
That's perfect. Well, thank you for coming on the show, Vishal. This was a blast. And
thank you for having me, dude.
Yeah. And so if this just a reminder to all the listeners out there, feel free to review or follow the podcast. We're the number 3. We were the number 3 anime podcast in Canada on Apple iTunes. So if the bar was that low for number 3, I'm sure we can hit number 2.
Yeah, come on. Number 2, then straight to number 1.
Wow, you know what's number 1? It's that podcast you listen to, the Trash Taste one.
Oh, okay. You're not getting number 1 anytime soon,
Yeah.
or ever.
Thanks, man.
But anything can happen. Just like Baki, anything can happen.
That is so true. All right, well, that's all the Baki. We got a talkie. See y'all next week.
Bye bye.